Volcanoes are rated by their danger to human life using something called the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI. And there are a number of volcanoes that have reached the top rating of 8 on this index, but these aren't necessarily the deadliest. It doesn't take into account how many people live nearby or the potential damage to infrastructure. So let's count down the volcanoes that really should keep us up at night. Kicking off the list at number 7 is Japan's Mount Unzen. This volcano is located on the southern island of Kyushu, close to the city of Nagasaki. You might recognize that name from its similarly deadly namesake in New Mexico. The real Mount Vesuvius, however, is famous for being the volcano that wiped out the Roman city of Pompeii in 79 AD. But it isn't actually the worst volcano in Italy. That title belongs to Mount Etna, which is much more active than Vesuvius. Mount Etna has had over 100 eruptions in the last 500 years alone, but fortunately for the thousands of people who live at its base, they've all been pretty minor. In 1669, though, Mount Etna blew its top and caused massive devastation in the surrounding area. Entire villages were destroyed, and the eruption is thought to have killed over 15,000 people. While that is bad, it could have been so much worse. If the city of Catania hadn't been spared, it's likely that many more people would have lost their lives. But Mount Unzen is much more dangerous than Mount Etna, because it's capable of producing something called a pyroclastic flow. Pyroclastic flows are extremely hot mixtures of gas and solid matter that move very quickly down the side of a volcano. They can reach speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, and if they manage to reach a populated area, they can easily level entire cities. On June 1991, Mount Unzen produced one of these deadly pyroclastic flows, which ended up killing 43 people. Although it was not the most violent eruption in history, it was one of the deadliest in recent times, and coming in at number 6 is Campi Flegrei, which translates to English as Fields of Fire. These fields are located just outside of Naples in Italy, close to both Mount Vesuvius and the appropriately named City of Fires, which is known for its pizza. Now, I hope that none of the pizzas are made with ingredients from Pompeii, because I don't think that they'd be safe to eat after all of those years underground. But it's hard to say because Campi Flegrei might be due for an eruption itself. In 1538, Campi Flegrei erupted with an explosive force of 360 cubic kilometers. That's about 3 times the volume of the Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980. Fortunately, it happened when there was a full moon, which meant that there was a lot of light outside. This gave the people living nearby enough time to flee the city before the eruption reached them. However, if this event were to happen today, it would be much more deadly. There are now millions of people living in the path of destruction of this volcano, including 2 of the largest cities in Italy. Number 5 on our list, though, is even more densely packed with people. It's located right next to the industrial center of Toluca in Mexico, which is home to around 2 million people, plus another 10 million or so in the greater Mexico City metropolitan area. That means that if Popocatépetl erupts again, it will kill tens of thousands of people. In fact, Popocatépetl is already showing signs that it might erupt soon. It's been rumbling and emitting steam and gas for quite some time, and authorities have even had to tell the local residents to be prepared. With a population that large living so close to an active volcano, it's only a matter of time until there's a disaster. But we don't need to wait for that disaster to happen, because there are places in the world where they are almost inevitable. Like Manila, Philippines, which is home to around 1.8 million people. Taal Volcano, which is located just 31 miles away from the capital of the Philippines, Manila, has had 6 major eruptions in the past 360 years. And with the massive population of Manila, any future eruption will be devastating. But unlike Popocatépetl, Taal has already erupted since we started making this list. On January of 2021, it began to rumble, and smoke was spotted rising from its crater. Although it didn't cause any casualties, it did force the government to raise its alert level and order the evacuation of thousands of people. Speaking of evacuations, though, No place has had to deal with more volcanic activity than the small Caribbean island of Montserrat. Since 1995, this island has been the site of constant volcanic eruptions. The entire north half of the island is now completely covered in ash and solidified lava. But even before this, there were only around 5,000 people who lived there. In fact, the eruptions have been so constant that the entire population has had to be evacuated. And Montserrat hasn't been permanently inhabited since 1997. This doesn't mean that anyone can just move back in, though. Even though the eruptions have slowed down recently, scientists still predict that there will be a major eruption every 300 years or so. And the last one was in 1997. So it's probably only a matter of time until the whole island is destroyed. But although the people of Montserrat have had to abandon their homes, they haven't suffered nearly as much as the people who live at the base of Indonesia's Mount Tambora. In 1815, Mount Tambora erupted with a force of 6 cubic kilometers. That's the second highest rating on the Volcanic Explosivity Index and is considered to be the deadliest eruption in recorded history. Over 10,000 people died either directly from the eruption or from the resulting tsunami. But the real suffering came afterwards, when the ash and dust blocked the sun and caused the surrounding areas to experience what is known as a volcanic winter. Basically, there was so much debris in the atmosphere that it bounced back a significant portion of the sunlight, leading to global cooling. Some sources estimate that as many as 88,000 people died as a result of starvation and disease caused by the volcanic winter. And while we don't know exactly how many people died, we do know that the entire region was devastated. Even modern-day Indonesia is still dealing with the effects of Tambora's eruption. Its fertile soils caused crops to grow better in the years following the disaster, causing rapid population growth. But even though Tambora is the deadliest volcano in history, it isn't the biggest. The biggest eruption ever recorded also happened in Indonesia, but it happened at Krakatoa, a much smaller volcano located on the same island as Tambora. Krakatoa's eruption in 2004 ranks a perfect 10 on the VEI scale, the same rating as the asteroid impact that killed the dinosaurs. But unlike the asteroids, Krakatoa didn't take out all life on Earth. In fact, most life on Earth is still alive today thanks to the city of Yogyakarta, which is home to around 2.5 million people. Located just 25 miles from Krakatoa, Yogyakarta is in the direct path of destruction of the volcano, and if it erupts again, it could be the deadliest disaster in recorded history. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like Krakatoa is ready to blow anytime soon, although its most recent eruption was only in 2018. Hopefully, it takes a few thousand years off before it decides to destroy the city of Yogyakarta. Because until that happens, the most dangerous volcano in the world is the one that's closest to the most people. And that's Mount Vesuvius, which is located just outside of Naples, Italy, and overlooks the massive city of Naples with its 4 million residents. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius ended the lives of an estimated 11,000 people in the city of Pompeii. But if it were to erupt today, the death toll would be much higher. The Italian government has plans in place to evacuate the surrounding areas in case of an emergency. But the sheer number of people makes this almost impossible. If Vesuvius erupts while the evacuation is underway, thousands could be killed, or if the evacuation isn't ordered in time, the entire city could be destroyed. Now check out most active volcanoes on Earth or watch this other video instead.